Are you guys concerned about the auto market for the next 3 to 5 years? Because a lot of these sort of things that are starting to come together, you have the affordability crisis, you got this loan thing happening with the Fed, you have less cars on the road, you have this disincentives potentially with the dealership network. Sort of like what goes through your mind when you think about the state of the auto industry in 2028? What sort of vision do you have? What comes to mind?
I love it. I get scared too, but the reason I love it is because it's creating an immense need for the type of business we're building, which is consumer advocacy, helping people understand their options, identifying what's reasonable, not getting taken advantage of. So I love it in that regard, but I'm nervous beyond belief. I think that there's a bunch of headwinds in the face of the consumer to getting fair treatment, having affordable options. I think the work that a consumer is going to have to do to not get screwed throughout this whole process and feel empowered is just going up. We see this in the Cox Automotive data. They do an annual car buying study. Capital One does it as well. The satisfaction with buying a car has declined from last year to this year, and that's been consistent. And so the part of me that thinks about the individual makes me concerned. The part of me that's really proud of what my dad and I do and what we're building, I actually think it's a bunch of tailwinds. I think I'm excited for what we're doing because we help people solve those problems, but I wouldn't want to go buy a car right now. I mean, why would you? It's a terrible experience.
Yeah.
And 5 years from now, is the dealership model going to look the same way it looks today? Or are we still going to be confronted with inventory shortages? My belief is that when it comes to pre-owned cars, we will. Perhaps over the next 3 to 5 years, there'll be one or two manufacturers out there that understand the need for less expensive, more affordable vehicles for the vast majority of people who need them. And maybe there'll be a couple players that step in and really try and affect the market where the vast majority of the manufacturers are not looking to do that. It'll be an interesting time. I know the conversation Zach and I have had recently is that I always try to look at historical norms and see how they fit in with what's going on today. I've recently come to the conclusion that these are just not normal times, at least based on historical norms. And so that at a certain point, you just have to throw those historical norms out the window and look at what the reality of the situation is today. I believe we're entering what will be the new normal of shortages and higher prices for the foreseeable future, because these are not normal times, and you can't look at those historical norms and expect things to get back to those times. That's just me.
Uncharted territory, it
Yes.
seems like. Yeah. I think from my standpoint, what's interesting for me to sort of track is that, this is something I've really started to pay close attention to in the last, say, really in depth into the total auto market in the last year, really since I started this YouTube channel. I kind of had a good understanding of it-ish, but I wasn't super knowledgeable around, say, all the OEMs, like what is Toyota's business model? What is GM's business model? What is Ford's business model? And what I'm noticing in the last few years is that we had this sort of like wave of brand new automakers that have come up, that are mainly focused around a specific type of drivetrain, which is the electric. So you have your Rivians, you got your Lucids, you got your BYDs, which, with the electric, you got your Teslas and many others that are starting to come up that are trying to enter the auto market in ways that harken back to the early 1900s or the mid 1900s, where you had all these automakers. I remember Oldsmobile and Pontiac and freaking, who knows, there's so many of them, right? from back in the day. And it seems like it's a renaissance of sorts. And I'm wondering what the landscape's going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years of what I call the legacy OEMs. So all your brands that have been together, like that are here now, the big guys, and all these new upstarts that are coming through, that are starting to ramp up their vehicles, and they're trying to make as big of an impact as possible. How do you guys see that playing out in the next, say, decade? Do you think there will be more car brands or less car brands? Is there going to be more consolidation, or there's going to be brand new automakers? Like, have you guys thought about that at all? Do you have any thoughts around that?
Personally, go ahead, Zach, if you want to go first.
No, I'm curious. Maybe you'll influence my thinking.
Okay. Well, personally, what I believe is that a lot of the young players in the industry today, Lucid, Rivian, some of the others, those that we think are going to be players, my suspicion is that those aren't the ones that are going to be around, that there will be others that come in that will surprise the hell out of all of us. And whether it be BYD, whoever it is, but they will come in, they will grab market share, they will do things that Rivian and Lucid can't do, which is build cars and actually deliver the damn things in a somewhat profitable manner. You can't sell cars and lose, I don't know, $1.5 million per car that you're selling, and expect to be a player in the industry. So I think that there will be legacy brands that will hang on, okay, but that they probably won't be nearly as successful as they were hoping they would be. And there will be a couple of upstarts that we haven't even seen in the US market yet that will grab significant share of the market and just surprise the hell out of people. And I don't think Lucid or Rivian is either one of those. I don't think, as much as they'd like to believe they're here for the long term, I don't think either one of them is. Tesla is, and Tesla will be a leader of the automotive revolution. But, Lordstown, Rivian, Lucid, that's just, that's money that you could just kiss goodbye. And not
financial advice.
How long can they sustain themselves, and how long will investors be willing to keep giving them money with the hope that they're actually going to turn into something someday? I think there's players out there that we haven't seen in the U.S. market yet that will make significant inroads, and so they're names that we haven't even talked about yet.
I'm kind of in alignment with you, Pops. I think consolidation, definitely. In capitalism, consolidation always wins because it leads to efficiencies, bigger P&Ls. You can cut staff, operating expenses good. Like, it's just how capitalism works. So I think we see consolidation.
Buzzword, Zach, synergy. It leads to synergies.
Yeah, lots of synergies. So I definitely see that. And I wouldn't be surprised if the brands that you just mentioned, Pops, they end up getting, I would not be surprised if you see legacy OEMs who can pitch investors that they have the infrastructure to produce at scale, and they don't have maybe some of the exciting vehicles or the powertrain technology. Actually, the consolidation being the acquisition of some of these companies when they start to struggle, which I think will be over the next 12 to 18 months. So no, like, struggle even more, Pops. And so I could see a world where legacy OEMs are better at raising capital, better at telling the story, have more. This definitely doesn't apply to Ford, though, because holy cow, they have quality control issues and production issues out the wazoo. But maybe it's like a Hyundai and a Kia, or a Hyundai group, that says, you know what, we're already kicking butt. We can kick even more butt if we just acquired X. X is going to get us here. We do it. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see that type of consolidation. And almost like we see with some of the brands, I'm thinking of Volkswagen with Scout. They're bringing back their Scout brand. I wouldn't be surprised if you see these legacy OEMs now just create an entire lineup that's tied to, I'm not saying that Hyundai's going to buy Rivian, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's just part of a group like that. I think that ends up being what makes the most sense.
Gotcha. Very helpful. Yeah. Thank you so much. We're approaching an hour here, and I want to make sure I'm respectful of your time. Any last words, Ray or Zach, that you want to share that we didn't hit on? I saw you shared a video in the private chat, Zach. Did you want us to pull that up?
Oh, I just wanted to mention that's the affordability video. We've done many of them, but my dad explains the 10% rule. So for those of you who are interested, how much car can I afford? It is a worthy video to go watch. My dad explains everything. So please go take a peek at that.
Awesome. You can find it at Car Edge YouTube channel. Ray, any sort of last thoughts on things we haven't?
For Zod, it said 574 people were watching. I didn't realize. Wow.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
kind of nervous now.
Yeah, 738 right now. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a few people here watching for sure. I think what I'm trying to do is I'm really trying to fully understand, I am somebody who's going to be naturally biased with one specific car company because I've been invested in it for so long. I've worked at the company, I'm very passionate about it, but I really have a huge interest in the auto market broadly because it's just I love cars. And I want every car maker Thank you, DRK, a long-time listener of the chat. I just love talking to knowledgeable, smart people, and I consider you guys to be knowledgeable, smart people. And so it's my absolute pleasure to bring you guys on and talk to you.
That was your first mistake. Assuming that we were knowledgeable, smart people. Maybe we're really dumb, but we have a great way of communicating.
I think you're both very smart and have a great way of communicating. Seriously, yeah.